Okay, we'll start. Uh, Good evening, good morning, good night, afternoon, and other times in the day for people who aren't at those times. Ladies, gentlemen, others, we stand for our non-binary brothers and sisters here, and other non-siblings,
Non-binary brothers and sisters.
sisters. Yeah, I know I fucked up. Don't hold it against me, siblings.
It's okay. Our
Sorry.
non-binary siblings.
Yes, non-binary siblings. I'm saying this as a non-binary, so that's
It's okay.
that's weird. But yes, non-binary siblings. We don't stand by the gender binary here. It's anyway. This is a special Symposium podcast episode. After last episode talking about Book of the Fallen, I needed, I craved bringing Jacqueline Brick out on the air again. To spread her great. She's award-winning, writing into things, and doing the stuff.
I am
great. She's become my hero, really, since that podcast, and I believe in spreading it, just like I do my history podcast about great female authors from pre-feminist times, because old men have old menified history. We have to take a stand against this.
I like that. They have old menified history. That's very good.
Yeah, old menified history. That's the thing. As an historian, I can attest to this because I've seen it up close, and I made my entire bachelor thesis to be like take as many subtle digs as the university as I could about how they were not as feminist as they like to think, because academia. That was the thing. Academia is evil. But anyway, so we're going to be topical today. We're going to talk about, one of our main topics is going to be safety rules in the World of Darkness. But first, to start off a little light before we go right into the darkness, as it were, Christmas. This is
God Yule.
Yeah. Good Yule. Good Yule.
Good Yule. Good Yule.
Good Yule. That's where in Norway we don't call it Christmas, we just call it Yule. It's the same holiday, really, because
for those of you who are Jewish.
Yes.
I know how to pronounce Hebrew. I do not, but I have a Jewish husband, and that means that I try my best.
So you have having a Jewish husband gives you powers. That's known science.
That's true.
Like trying to pronounce Hebrew words. This is very.
Yes, I can't make a golem, but he might be able to make a golem.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. I think we should all try and have a more progressive Christmas or holiday period. I personally try to, for example, make more African foods that's made during Christmas. So I did that the other day. I made like African chicken stew, which it's like a tomato sauce base with onions and garlic like mixed into it, and then curry and a different other kind of spices.
Wow.
And then honey glazed chicken and cooked it in oil, and then had the stew on it. It was good. And I put some potatoes. Yeah, it's actually really good. I will send you a recipe at some point if you're interested.
Yes, please do. I have a ragu that I will be making at some point. It is unfortunately not African, but you've inspired me to add more African elements to it, because I make a ragu out of I do a sofrito of garlic, onions, pork fat, and olive oil, and then I let that brown, and then I add in ground beef, sausage, tomato sauce, tomato paste, bay leaves, thyme, lemon. Oh no, when you're making the sofrito, you also want to fry some chili flakes.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah, and then you mix it with an angel hair pasta.
Excellent. This is all very not what I'm used to. This is great. This is great stuff. I like doing that. I'm going to do more African food this week too, at like various like post Christmas parties. So I'm going to have like all my cousins over in my apartment, and I'm going to do only African food that day. Maybe, or actually, awesome. African food with Italian lemon ice cream, because Italian lemon ice cream is good.
Good way to be globalist there.
Yeah, of course.
African food with Italian lemon ice cream in your Scandinavian apartment.
Exactly. And here's the thing: I'm a happy globalist in here. I'm a globe head, if you will, if the flat earthers. That's what the flat earthers call me. Hey-o.
Oh, nice. Did I ever tell you that I learned how to salsa dance from a Korean man in a Mexican restaurant in China?
In China.
Yes, when I lived in China for a couple of months, Ben and I used to go to Ben is my Jewish husband, used to go to this Mexican place because I would get homesick,
Oh.
and I love Mexican food.
Hmm.
And there's a very strong Guatemalan and Mexican population in Delaware. Um, we actually have a pretty large immigrant population, and our police force refuses to work with ICE, even though we're entirely within the 100-mile border. So that's fun.
High five for not working with
Yeah,
ICE, not working with the Gestapo is a very good thing. High
it's
five.
very important. Yeah.
Don't
Um,
like that's a good lesson for everyone this Christmas. Don't work with the Gestapo and
yes.
punch Nazis. That's another second very good lesson. I think we're spreading good moral values here today. And isn't
Mhm.
that what Christmas is all about? Really, spreading good family-friendly values.
Like not working with the secret police.
Yes, that
Yes.
is like. Here's the thing. This is a like cartoons have gotten sophisticated. Like they have like fascists in cartoons,
Yeah,
and kids are taught don't work with fascists.
it's very
They're also
important.
yeah, they're also taught some bad lessons like forgive the fascists, which I'm not a fan of. But we're getting there.
Yeah, we're
We're,
getting there.
we're getting there. That's that. The important thing is don't work with the secret police. If you see Richard Spencer or Ben Shapiro or people of that kind, you
Punch
should
them.
punch them or milkshake them if you don't want to get assault charges.
Yes.
I believe you should do both.
Or trip them into somebody else's fists. Like that's a way to do it.
Trip them into someone else's fist. If you let's say if you are disabled and you are on crutches, use your crutch to trip them. We're very open here.
Yes, we fully support any method of doing violence to Nazis.
Any method of doing violence to Nazis, as a great stand-up comedian said, like Raman Kadi, like Amer. I mean, Amer is his name. Amer is from Australia. He is a great person of color stand-up comedian, and he had a great show about like he mentioned that he was asked like, "Oh, do you support political violence? Do you?" And like, what about debating the Nazis in the marketplace of ideas? And his point was that I want to defeat the Nazis on planet Earth first.
And then we can defeat the Nazis on fucking Narnia or the marketplace of ideas. Yeah, that was one of my favorite bits.
That is actually my favorite bit ever. I think it's amazing, and I think you should like make it like mandatory for people to watch that. So if you have like liberals, like white liberals in your friend circle, send them that clip. I think that will help. Anyway, so we've now driven off all potential alt-right infiltrators. Really good. Then we can get started.
Really depends on how good they are at infiltrating, I think.
It would have. I mean, I usually do this at the start of the show to try and kind of scare them away. Sure. So I hope this works.
Hey, if you are an alt-right infiltrator, please consider looking up the story of Derek Black.
Yes.
And Derek Black was the son of Don Black, I think, the founder of Stormfront, who is now a big anti-Nazi activist.
Yeah, and by the way, for people who haven't bought it, don't know about Stormfront is a Nazi news site.
Yeah, it actually, they actually used to have a small recording studio in my city. They got chased out by weirdly members of academia. So
yeah, so that's I mean that I'm so sorry that Stormfront had like any property within your area. That's like really if Stormfront has any buildings in your area, I think you should like call someone. Like I don't like not the police, because the police obviously have people who like read Stormfront, so we can't trust them. But like maybe some people to like thing or like try to protest them into moving. All of these are good ideas. But anyway, so you know, I'm a Scandinavian or a Norwegian rather.
You are Scandinavian. This is true.
Yes, I'm Scandinavian, and you are a known American. You live in the Great Eagle country.
So I do live in the Great Eagle country. This is true.
So we could compare Christmases. I think that would be fun.
We could. You go first because you sound like you're having a very exciting Christmas.
My Christmas, I mean my specific Christmas, I try to make it fun by not adhering to Christmas things. I don't really want to celebrate Christmas, but my mother has told me that I have to shut up and go along.
Okay.
Yes, it's with love. It's the same way she's like when she started trying to buy me things, and I'm like, no, don't do that. And she's like, you get to complain about that once per year, and then you have to shut up. Because
Oh, okay.
yes, because
Look,
my
as long
entire
as it's something you're okay with.
oh yeah. I don't want to celebrate Christmas because not capitalist and I'm not Christian nor a
Right.
Norse worshipper nor Roman, so I don't have a reason to, in my opinion. But
Hmm.
I've been very thoroughly overruled, and in my household, we don't adhere to the human rights convention. That's a specific like paragraph in the
Oh,
human rights declaration from UN that people in my household don't adhere to it. So that's
gotcha.
why my mother like okay like one time I drove with her and she was like, oh, I noticed your headset fell apart. And I'm like, yes. I can get you a new one. I'm like, no. She's like, shut up. I'm getting you a new headset now.
Yeah, your human rights are really being violated by your mom
Yes.
buying you a new
Yeah.
headset.
Yeah. That's really a violation. And she's like, you're getting a hug now. That's another violation.
Oh,
I'm,
how
I'm getting a.
terrible.
How terrible. I know. It's like, what's next? Maybe I'm like, get like free food. Oh my God. Well, that's So yeah, seriously, it's all in all good fun. The only thing, she doesn't force me to go to church or anything, so that's nice.
That's good.
Which is weird because none of my family is Christian, but they go to church on Christmas. But anyway, in Nor
That's what we
in Nor-
call the Creasters or the Christmas and Easter Christians.
yeah. So in Norway we have this thing, but we don't celebrate Christmas on the 25th. But
Hmm.
that's not when we open our presents or anything. We do it on the 24th. And then
Okay.
some people do stuff on the 25th, but it's not celebrating Christmas in our opinion. It's just like another thing in
Okay.
conjunction. 24 is the big day here.
24.
So,
Okay.
so we open the gifts in the evening usually.
Mhm.
And there are loads of traditional things we watch, like old, like really badly dubbed movies. Like there's like Three Nuts for Cinderella, which is an old like Czechian movie
That
from
sounds
like,
adorable.
and it's like dubbed into Norwegian by one guy. He's doing all the voices.
Oh,
It like
good.
so it was like done in like the 70s or 80s or something. I do not understand why anyone watched this, but watch it. But it's like a tradition. And there's also like other old Christmas movies that people watch on the 23rd, which we call Little Christmas.
Okay.
On Little Christmas, there's this old like comedy skit that thing called the Countess and the Butler. Everyone watches that.
Okay.
And Christmas food varies. Yeah,
Who
and the
did
Countess.
Saint Lucia? That's
Saint,
Sweden.
Saint Lucia, yeah, like that's we do something before Christmas on like the
Okay.
13th, and
Gotcha.
and then all the children watching a little Saint Lucia tray, like parade in their schools and stuff. It's very adorable,
Hmm.
and they're carrying lights, and they're all dressed in like white robes. Not the kind of white robes that people sometimes see in the south of the United States, but like cute white
No, but like
robes.
midsummer white robes that are only slightly less violent.
Yeah. Uh, So and then we eat like special like pastries that we called we say we say Lucia instead of Saint Lucia. So we
Okay.
call them lussekatter or Lucia cats, which are like cat form little pastries that we
Oh,
make with
that's so
saffron,
cute.
and then people eat. They're very good. You have saffron in them, which is cool.
Nice.
And they're like nice buns that people eat. So that's and beyond that, we eat like the traditional Norwegian Christmas foods, which are like rib, like a big like pork rib thing
Ooh.
that people roast in the oven with like.
Hmm.
And then we have what is called in Norwegian, like the best translation would be twig meat. I will see if I can find the actual translation to English.
Okay.
Lamb. We call them lamb ribs, but it's not really lamb ribs. Stick meat is more accurate. Like you boil it. It's like
Okay.
lamb meat, and it's rather salty. But you serve that with potatoes and like a fat sauce.
Ooh.
And like you have all the potatoes and like a puree.
Mm-hmm.
types of vegetables and stuff. That's usually what one
Ooh.
serves. Beyond that, there's like the lutefisk, which is horrible. Some people eat that for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Lutefisk is not something anyone that's civilized eats, but we apparently do for some reason.
Stick
Uh,
meat sounds really good though.
Stick meat is really good.
It,
Uh,
it
uh,
sounds it sounds kind of like short ribs because I know
it's sort of
like when
similar.
okay.
It's like it's using the lamb rib sort of thing.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, lutefisk is awful, but people sometimes eat that, and there are loads of other things like that people get to. But those are the traditional like main classics that people eat, and
Neat.
yes, so that's
I learned
the
so
that's
much today.
yes. One of my promises, because I promise all my American friends that I will visit them in the United States, because I will, and my big promise is always I will bring Norwegian food and I will cook it for people. And I will
Nice.
bring, but the biggest promise I make, which is the best one, is I'm bringing Norwegian candy, Norwegian sweets,
Ooh.
because we have way better candy than you guys do. Like,
I don't know. I do love my Reese's.
in Norway we have like a candy buffet thing everywhere. So in every store that sells
Mm-hmm.
groceries or whatever, you can buy candy and you can like pick and choose what you want and like put in
Mm-hmm.
a nice bag. That's great. So we love our candy over here and stuff. So when I go, next time I go to the United States, if I go by the Delawares, yep,
Okay. Well,
I will.
I am 2 hours from basically everywhere. Well, everywhere on the East Coast. So I'm 2 hours from New York. I'm 2 hours from DC. I'm 1 hour from Baltimore and Philly. So if you go to any of those cities,
Yeah. No, but if I'm going to the United States again, I'm going to visit my cool role playing people. And
hooray!
you're like the cool role playing person I know on the East Coast. So if I'm
Neat.
going to the East Coast, you would be the one I visit. Because
Hooray!
everyone I know a lot I used to know a lot of people living in the South, but I don't want to go to the South because I would piss people off. Because I did that the first time I went to the United States, or tried to. I brought a Norwegian flag with me to see if I could
Mhm.
get any racists to be mad at me. It didn't work. But I lived in the
Oh,
Spanish section of LA, which apparently is kind of like the ghetto, because the taxi driver was like, "You should move. You're going to get robbed." And I'm like, "But I already paid." It's like, "I don't care. You should move."
yeah.
I didn't move. I didn't get stabbed. But I went to a lot of nice Mexican restaurants and ate food because I realized I tried to eat at McDonald's in the United States. That was a mistake.
Don't do that.
I tried to because I was like, I am in the United States. McDonald's is shit everywhere, but I have to see how shit it is.
It's weird because when I lived in China, McDonald's sold macarons, those little French sandwich cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did like a that was like their big dessert thing was French macarons, and I'm like, huh, that is so much classier than what we have here.
Yes. And our McDonald's is better than you have over here because unions and stuff. Because the workers there are much better paid. Because
Mm-hmm.
unions are very nice. We like
Yes,
unions here. Unions, you should all like your labor unions.
love your labor unions.
Love your labor unions and hate cops.
Yes.
That's good. Anyway, so that's really is with Christmas. We have some other weird things. I like we have like the Nisse creatures. We don't
Mm-hmm.
call Santa Claus. We call him the Julenisse. The Nisse is like kind of like to use a changing the dreaming equivalent. They're kind of like boggins, except boggins are completely made up and not based on anything.
Okay.
Nisse are like they are like household spirits
I
that
mean, no, boggins are a Celtic household spirit.
like the word boggin. I don't actually think exists though. They're
It
based on
does.
like I think there is some boggarts.
Hold on. I'll find it for you. You keep telling me.
Because I find boggin in like with two G's in CTD. But I don't find Boggin the creature in Celtic stuff. Boggart I find, but no,
Interesting.
yeah. So that's
Hold
white
on.
old 90s white folk of the
Okay.
90s.
So the term was Bouchan,
Yeah,
which can be pronounced boggin in Scottish Gaelic,
yeah,
and in
yeah.
English is Bouchan, Buckon, or boggin.
Yeah, so
So,
I think it's they're skating on, but okay. Trolls are completely maimed in Changeling, by the way, because trolls are the Norwegian creatures, slightly Danish, so that they're not like that in
mhm,
the stories. But anyway, that's Nightis White Wolf. Nightis White Wolf gonna Nightis. But anyway, fun thing aside, what we have Nissa creatures. They go around in Christmas, and we put like porridge out to them and they can eat porridge. And
mhm,
there's like we have like a porridge competition where you put like a nut in the porridge. So the
mhm.
one that wins gets the porridge wins something.
Oh
That's like
yeah, that's kind of like a king cake.
yeah. So that's a fun thing we do. We have some Christmas specific desserts like gingerbread. We love gingerbread and lots of other things. And yeah, when Christmas gets going, everyone buys Christmas pastries and everything. It gets
Mhm.
wild. So that's the land during the Christmas times.
I love that.
This this is my first time, my first year now. I've lived a year in my actual first real apartment living in it. So
Oh,
that's
that's
fun.
exciting.
That's a
Do you have
fun.
a
And
Christmas tree?
I do not have a Christmas tree. I like.
Aw.
I don't want to celebrate Christmas in the first place. Why would I bring a weird tree into my house?
I have a little tree.
Oh.
His
But like,
name is Septimus.
is it here? His name is Septimus. Why Septimus? Is it your
I
seventh
don't
tree?
know. Like, so I was in a depressive episode a while ago, and I went to go get cheese from one of my favorite fancy shops, and they were selling these little 3 foot tall
Mini Christmas
little
tree.
fir trees outside in pots, and I'm like, I love that one. And I bought it and for like $30 and I put him in my car and I buckled him in because I had to buckle him in to make sure he got home okay because he's a little 3 foot tall tree.
Yep.
And I was just like, I looked at him on the way home and I'm like, your name is Septimus.
So
I
you're
don't know
like
why.
me. You're like me. Like instinct strikes you. Like
Yeah.
you just know what something's name
I
is.
mean, we're brain cousins.
Exactly. I mean, like maybe we're like secretly the same person, but like from different timelines. We've been
Maybe.
reincarnated. That
I
would
mean,
be
that
like
sounds right. I've watched
that's
Cloud Atlas. I know how this
yeah.
works.
So it's like just like a cool time paradox thing. Awesome. I'm glad that we live in the same timeline. Then high five.
Yeah, me too.
High five for timelines.
All right.
Um,
So let me tell you a little bit about my Christmas.
yes. Tell me about your American Christmas.
So, saying that there is an American Christmas is a little like saying there is an American culture. We don't really have like one. We have a bunch, but so with my family, I grew up in a very Republican, very military family. Like I grew up thinking the Tea Party and like George W. Bush were a good idea.
Sorry.
So no, I swung really hard left in college. Um, but so my family, what we would do, my mom usually started Christmas shopping in April because Christmas shopping in November and December here is hellish. My dad still puts icicle lights on the house and they have a little tree in the living room. Their tree is much bigger than mine. Their tree is like 8 feet tall and is a fake tree, which is great because it can be used from year to year. My tree is a real tree and it's 3 feet tall, so I had to figure out what the hell I'm gonna do with him after Christmas. Um
You should
so
find somewhere and replant them.
I think I will because there's actually a forest out back of my house.
Excellent.
So I think I'm gonna
Excellent.
plant him afterwards. But we would hang out and watch like Christmas specials. Like Charlie Brown Christmas was one of my family's favorites, as well as the oh god, Rankin Bass Christmas specials, like Santa Claus is Coming to Town, or The Year Without a Santa Claus, or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. All of those cute little stop motion films. And at midnight we would go to mass because my family is Catholic. I still consider myself Catholic. I'm a very lapsed Catholic. Like I probably won't even be going to mass tonight because I'm lazy and tired. Um, but I really liked when I can drag my ass out of bed and when I don't dislike the priest who's giving the homily. Because that's another issue I have with being Catholic because I dislike a lot of priests.
I
Like, I had one really wonderful priest who has since retired. His name was Father Ogden, and he once told me during a confession that being polyamorous was an expression of divine love.
I think we should all stand for this priest man. He sounds great.
Yes,
We
Father
stand for him.
Ogden, which, by the way, Ogden is the English translation of Ogham, who is the Celtic god of knowledge.
See,
So, yeah, I
maybe
had
if we spend like,
sort of a what's the word I'm looking for? Um, polytheistic experience there.
so maybe it's like American Gods. Maybe he
A little
actually
bit.
is.
Yeah.
Could be. Could be. We don't know.
Yeah, he unfortunately retired, so I will have to find another confessor, and absolutely not the priest who spent the Easter homily being like, wow, it was a miracle that Notre Dame didn't burn down, and God himself prevented it. And I'm like, dude, you could have talked about the firefighters and the priests who all got the, objects out, who saved the rose window, who saved the fucking bees that were in the attic of Notre Dame. None of their, I don't know if you know this, they have beehives in the attic of Notre Dame as part of like a Catholic environmentalist initiative.
Yeah, that's cool.
And not a single bee was injured during the Notre Dame fire.
I mean, that's brave, and you should talk about the people.
I mean, like, the whole thing with Catholics is we're supposed to do the difference between Catholics and Protestants, I find in a lot of ways, is Catholics are supposed to do things to get into God's good graces.
Yeah, that's.
Right?
I mean, yeah, you know, that's kind of the idea. That's kind of what you split over. The Protestants were like, we don't, you know,
Yeah, American Protestants are very much, oh, well, if I'm saved, then I'm saved, and I don't have to do anything else.
come to Jesus, staking for
Yeah.
Jesus. I'm now running around. I'm saved, and I can say the things I want now.
Yes.
And I could talk about how the WOMs are destroying video games because video game feminism is evil. Apparently, I don't know why.
Yeah.
I personally am not worried about video game feminists. They're usually really cool people. I am one myself, in fact, so that's great. But yeah, anyway, sorry for
It's
stealing your
okay.
thunder.
No, it's fine. But for whatever reason, this fucking priest just decided to totally ignore the contributions of all of the Catholics who helped save Notre Dame, which I thought was a really inspiring story. So I wrote him an email citing sources about how many, what sort of cool things happened at Notre Dame. And I'm like, this is really depressing that you didn't mention any of this on Easter and how you could have tied this into the story of the apostles coming to see Jesus's tomb, and why did you write your sermon like this? And I never got a response, so I don't think he really appreciated it. But no, so what I'm doing tonight instead is I'm going to stay up, and a friend of mine is bringing some KFC chicken for me and my husband to eat, and we're going to hang out. And then at around midnight, I'm going to watch a video of an old socialist Catholic priest from Italy singing Bella Ciao at the end of his midnight mass.
Ooh.
Because I'm like, you know what? This is a very spiritual experience for me. This is a numinous experience. I go to church sometimes when I'm in search of what I refer to as a numinous experience, like something that makes me feel like I'm touching the divine, basically, right? So that is my numinous experience, and then tomorrow I am going to make roast beef tenderloin with garlic and pork belly and small potatoes for me and my husband. And now in the morning, my mom, when I was living with my parents, used to make monkey bread, which is this sort of pull apart bread with caramel and nutmeg and stuff, and it's very good. But what
Really?
I'm making, what?
No, I was just gonna say very unfortunate name, but sounds great.
Yeah, but what I'm gonna make is cinnamon rolls. I'm just gonna make straight up cinnamon rolls for me and my husband, and then we'll make the roast, and that'll be nice. And we're probably gonna wind up watching The Witcher because I am very straight for Henry Cavill.
I mean, I will tell you something amazing. I read an article about it from the costume designer saying
how his muscles wore out the leather.
Yes, that can only be a bonus for you watching. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
say.
No, I'm
I
very
think
excited.
I think we should advocate for more shirtless Henry Cavill for like season 2.
I
I'm
agree.
not seeing
Just no mustache.
mustache. We don't need. As a completely not interested in guys person at all, I advocate for this
Good.
because like if the male gaze is going to get everything and it keeps getting everything and everything, I think the female gaze needs more attention
I
in
agree.
stuff, especially in nerd cinematic stuff. Like that's all I'm gonna say. I think
Yeah.
we need to accommodate the female gaze more. It would be great. We should
Yes.
and
Um.
we should. I think we should all like. Sorry for high like tailing your thing again. I think we have another good message for people this Christmas. If you are a writer or a creator of some kind, talk to your trans friends and like so you can check if you're doing it right and bring in some trans characters into your stories
Do
and
it.
not non-white people. That would be a very great idea. Like
Yes.
like I took a pledge for my like the web novel I'm writing. There's no white male main characters in it at all. They they're not there. Boof away.
I like your plant.
Yeah, yeah. Like you like my plan. She is amazing. She is
She's a
like
good. Well, she's a she right now.
she's a she right now. She would be male at other times, but currently she's very female. She's very happy about it. Her name is Clockbur. She's amazing.
I
She
love
writes.
her.
She's the ship mechanic in the web novel I'm writing, which is sci-fi slash fantasy, and she's a ship's mechanic, and she loves reading human fantasy books and writing fan fiction.
I love her.
So
She's
that's
great.
she's great. I've sent you like quotes from her
Yep.
when I've been writing it, just so I can like poke you with it. It's amazing. But anyway,
Like,
please
oh,
tell
good baby.
good baby. So
Yeah.
please tell me more. Tell me more about your Christmas plans.
So that is the bulk of my Christmas plans, but I'm really excited for calibration, which is the 5 days between Christmas and New Year's. And I call it calibration because of Exalted, because, 5 days darkness and whatnot.
I have to lose some World of Darkness and White Wolf nerd cred. I've never read Exalted.
That's okay. So in Exalted, calibration is the 5 days before year's end, basically.
Okay, cool.
So calibration in the real world is the 5 days between Christmas and New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got adopted into a family this Thanksgiving because ever since I got married, my dad's side of the family has stopped inviting me to things. Weird.
Oh, how strange. So,
How strange.
so I thought that since your family, based on what you've told, are very right wing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would presume that since you got married, that they would be happy about that. Am I?
You'd think, but also there's a whole thing there that I don't super want to get into right now.
No. So then we will not get into it. Excellent.
Okay, so basically, I've stopped being invited to Christmas and Thanksgiving, which kind of sucks, especially because the person who hosts the Christmas party is my Aunt Renee, who is married to a Jewish liberal. My husband is a Jewish leftist, so you'd think they'd get along, but whatever. So I was brought to a local family's Thanksgiving with some friends who are sort of honorary members of the family. And I was like, hello, I am loud and queer and traumatized. And they were like, great, would you like some more food? And I was like, what? No, you don't understand. I'm loud and queer and traumatized. And they're like, yeah, that's nice. Would you like some wine? And like they were very chill about everything and they were very nice to talk to and they were just like, yeah, we're adopting you and you're going to be invited to all of our holiday party stuff now.
That's kind of like my family. We kind of do that when I bring like my weird friends, the few ones I have in Norway. When I bring them, they come in and they're like, "Okay, you're here now. Cookies." Like
Yeah.
like this is a real story. Like my like one of my best friends. Like I went to Japan with this guy for like a month. Like when he lost his home because he was like friends with me. Like he got to crash at my like in my family's home for like a month while I didn't live there. Like I lived in Oslo at the time, and
Mhm.
he got to crash there for like half a year without paying any rent and living in like my old room. So
Nice.
that's important to be nice to people, especially if they're loud, queer, and traumatized. You should be very
Yep.
nice to them and give them hugs and friendship and cookies
Yes.
or cinnamon rolls if they don't like cookies. Everyone likes
I
cinnamon
like both
rolls.
cinnamon rolls and cookies, so I'm
Yeah,
solid.
this
Um,
sounds like a really cool Thanksgiving though.
yeah. So what I'm doing is because I'm having weird, fluffy family feelings, and like, oh my god, these people like me. What the fuck do I do? I decided to throw a party on Saturday because the cousins in this family really like D&D, but they haven't really played any other game.
Now you're making him one of us.
So, I'm actually going to pair different indie games with different snacks and be like, if you like this snack, you might like this indie game.
This sounds really cool. I'm
Yeah,
kind
I'm
of
really excited.
I love this. This is full of creativity and energy and greatness. Kind of
Yeah,
like
and
your writing.
it's a great introvert party too because it's
Ah,
just like, hey, we're all going to sit around and read tabletop games.
yeah, excellent. That
Yeah.
this is indeed victory.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that this like wins on like several levels. This is like
Cool.
this is like a 4D chess kind of win, if you
Aw,
will.
thanks.
Yeah. So
I'm so bad at chess.
you know, I'm also bad, but I never learned it properly. So
Oh, okay.
that's a thing.
I'm just
Uh,
bad at strategic thinking. I'm very good at tactics, but I can't do long-term strategy.
Speaking of, I watched a great leftist takedown of like a right winger who'd been like, women can't play chess. And there was this leftist dude named Sean, who's a great YouTuber. He made a
Mhm.
video just very dryly taking him down and being like, you're clearly ignoring everything and you're being an
Yep.
idiot. That is great. Um, I that's what I've been doing this Christmas. I've been watching a lot of leftist YouTubers taking down right wingers. It's amazing.
Cool.
It's really funny. My favorite YouTuber, H Bomber guy. I rewatch his stuff all the
He's a
time.
darling, yeah.
He's a darling. Yeah, and my favorite video is when he's like talking about this douchebag Nazi guy named Thunderfoot who hates Anita Sarkeesian and can't
Hmm.
stop talking about her obsessively. And he did like a parody character of the alt right in it, and he keeps like he has like a fake mustache on, like an obviously fake one, and like a
Nice.
trilby, and he jumps out of boxes and they're like, aha! There was a heart on the proton pack, and
Yeah.
that's what Ghostbusters is all about, like anatomical correctness. So this is a
Oh,
chick
good.
flick. I'm so rational. And another one where it was like he's got going into a rant being like, "Do I look happy to you? Everywhere I look, I see feminists trying to take even in trailers for science fiction comedy films. I see feminists trying to take over and push their agenda down everyone's throats. And this is somehow everyone else's fault but mine. I'm
Bless.
so rational." I'm
Bless.
rational. This is amazing. I like one day I think we should have like an H Bomber guy like LAN party. We should watch his videos together. It'd
Do
be
it.
great.
Yeah.
Excellent. But yeah, so you have great things planned for Christmas, and you have great, and
Sounds
you
like
have
you do too.
yes, and that's all great fun. And beyond that, I was going to say that you know I believe that we should abolish the traditional family. Only like chosen family, and people should have like poly commune Christmases together.
Hmm.
That's my ideal world. Like in my ideal world, all my future novels will end with the characters living in a poly commune, even if they're ace or an arrow. They would just live together and be LGBTQ together, everyone, and be friendship. That's my perfect ending.
Speaking of happy poly communes and ace roommates, did you know that in Stardew Valley, in the new update, you can have Krobus the Shadow Person be your asexual roommate?
Asexual roommate for the win!
Yeah, he's such
Woo!
a baby. I love him.
Yes. We stand for our aces here.
Hmm.
Our ace siblings are great. We love them. I watched BoJack Horseman in December.
Okay.
It's a really good show, and actually one of the main characters is Ace, and the show goes into great lengths to actually explore it in a respectful, really great way. And And I love that show. The show is like it tricks you into thinking it's just going to be like something like Family Guy or something, but it's nothing at all. It's actually really thoughtful and a great showcase of mental health trauma and depression
That's
and real
awesome.
life issues and stuff. So one of the jokes in the show, which I love, is that the one of the characters who's very like a crusading leftist. She's kind of like our kind of person, Jax.
Hmm.
So she's like making like documentaries about like the insert company for Disney, and like the Disney CEO is talking to them, and she's like, "Oh, I murdered that guy that had like an accident in my company." And he's like, "You just admitted on camera that you murdered someone." And it's like, that's not the problem. It's like, why? Oh, well, Congress just passed a law that legalizes murder if you're rich. And she's like, no, no, they didn't. And she looks at her phone. Oh my God, they did. And you see, like, not Nancy Pelosi saying, finally something we can agree on. And she's like,
Oh my
okay, they
God.
passed the House, but it can't pass the Senate. He's like, really, Diane? And it's like, yeah, but the president will. Really, Diane? But the Supreme Court. And she's like, okay. That's an
Bless.
amazing joke. And it jokes about like the importance of like normalizing. So she's like, so normalizing could be a double-edged sword. So if you have like LGBTQ characters on the show doing things, you can normalize them. But if you have like racists on the show portrayed in a normal in like an endearing way, you can normalize casual racism. I've never
Right.
seen a mainstream show discuss that.
Right.
And this is great. But the show is also really dangerous for me to watch because the depression is so well portrayed. I get pulled into a depressive cycle because it's so great. Because I'm like, this is I know this autistic burnout is coming. Shit, because it's so amazing. I can only watch it in bites.
Hmm.
Because if I binge the entire show, I would just be like, oh no. I hate myself. Not because I'm harming myself, but because the show, like the character, is such a great portrayal of depression. Anyway,
Right.
and how being depressed does not justify you doing shitty things. That's one of the best parts of the show.
Correct.
It doesn't try that. The guy does loads of shitty things, and he keeps trying to excuse it with like the pills and drugs and depression. And it's like, you can't keep doing this. You can't do horrible things, and then because you feel bad about it, just get forgiven afterwards. That's not how it works. It was like messages. And I think that this is a very nice segue topic into safety rules and trauma
I agree.
and World of Darkness. These things are all connected.
Yes.
Because most of my fans watching, or I don't have fans. I have occasional listeners of the show. The occasional listeners of the show, they are mostly World of Darkness people. And you write some World of Darkness things.
I've written the World of Darkness thing or two.
Yeah, like just a few minor books here and there, like Book of the Fallen and stuff, major things. I'm sorry, I meant minor. Totally minor book. Like, it's not like Book of the Fallen is like the best mage book in years or anything. Not that. But yeah, and I think you should take a lot of credit there. But yeah.
No.
So I want us to talk about safety rules involved, because there's a lot of people who don't see the need for safety rules in a World of Darkness. Could you explain why they're completely full of shit, please?
So let's back up a little bit. So I wrote the first World of Darkness set of safety rules in Changeling, the last second edition. They were very basic. It was pulling in a lot of safety rules written by other people and putting them in one place just so you could reference it and make it easier for everybody. I have since written safety for Vampire the Masquerade using sort of similar safety mechanics. I have written safety for Book of the Fallen, as you mentioned. I am writing a little bit for Exalted. I also, for Cult Divinity Lost, wrote a full-on, not really safety thing, because Peter Nallo, who I love, but sometimes want to throw out a window, he's wonderful, but he only wanted me to write how to address certain kinds of trauma in gaming, as opposed to here are these safety rules. Which is fine, because in a lot of ways, safety rules, we have to make them as broad as possible to cover as many different things as possible. And while that's a great start, it doesn't actually address how to deal with individual players at the table and writing things like the consent in gaming that came out recently, which of course was decried by a bunch of nerds, is a great start for that. Putting out safety toolkits, putting out suggestions, putting out here's how you talk about safety. It's a great way to start. But we need to be able to start thinking as well about how to make spaces safe, not just for people like me who are white and cis, but people of color to, be able to play with racism in games. Like there's a LARP that's very popular on the East Coast right now called Velvet Noir, which is very specifically about institutional racism and homophobia in the 1920s. And the people who are running it are mostly people of color and queer people, which is great. And them creating a space where they are comfortable telling stories about racism, about homophobia, feeling safe enough to be unsafe in a lot of ways, I think is a good way of putting that. Yeah, it's important that we make those spaces. It's important that we make spaces where it's okay to be uncomfortable, but the discomfort doesn't make you feel bad about yourself, if that makes sense. Like
It's okay to feel uncomfortable, but not in danger, if you will. So to
yes,
speak.
very much. And I think part of that is being very genuine in your safety rules and making it very clear that you're on the player's side. One of the issues I had with the Book of the Fallen, and Phil and I, Sater rather, and I worked this out pretty quickly, was in my safety rules, in my discussions of how to play out sexual trauma with Nefandi, because people associate sexual violence with Nefandi, and I get why. And it's something you can use in a mage game, but you have to use it carefully. And I was writing about sexual violence and how sexual violence is really about power and humiliation and isn't about sex at all. Someone who had been editing it, I think it was actually Phil. Why do I keep
Satyr.
calling him Phil? I'm sorry, Sater.
Because we're all used to it, but we will get over it. That name is not
Yes.
okay, kids. But sometimes it happens.
So Sater wrote in a dig at 50 Shades of Grey in my safety rules. And I had to take him aside and be like, hey, I understand why you wrote this in, but this makes my safety rules not seem safe. This makes my safety rules seem disingenuous. And that's something that I struggle with a lot in nerd spaces is we want to get in those digs at people. We want to make it clear that we are not those people that we dislike. And like I saw a book recently that was really good, had a lot of really beautiful ideas about horror and sadness, and had a really great safety section. But at the end of the safety section, it had an FAQ that ended with, "Oh, so you guys are SJW snowflakes?" And of course, that because that was the straw man question, and the answer was, "Well, if you think that, you should put down this book and go pick up Lamentations of the Flame Princess." Like, no, if you want your safety rules to be taken seriously by people and you don't want to come off as a moralizing jerk, if you actually want to keep people safe and you're not just doing this for like nerd cred points, you can't put in digs at stuff like that because it makes your safety rules seem disingenuous.
Really, I understand the point and actually agree. I don't think you should joke or have things in safety rules because it's a serious matter and it should be just treated and explained seriously for the most part. Like not like in a stilted academic way because screw academia, but I agree. Like having digs at something. I mean, a 50 Shades of Grey is awful. Okay, I stopped reading it. And I read it ironically, but the moment I got to like where really bad shit that shouldn't be in these kinds of stories happen, I just dropped it.
Mm-hmm.
And while I understand having a dig at that, it's more important to concisely explain safety rules for people instead of like trying to be funny at the same time. If you get what I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's a bit separate from your very well laid point, but that's just my addition
Mm-hmm.
to it. So I agree with you. I think that's actually very important, and it is. I mean, we all love Satyr. Satyr is amazing. But I think Sator. That's why Sator also has been very smart about surrounding himself with youngings
Hmm.
who can help him with things, with the younging things. Because you like me, we're like young people. That's our secret power. We're like young and stuff. Yay,
Yes.
youth. I'm 96er, and you're like from also from the 90s. So
Hmm.
that yes, but
Yes.
that's
92. But
92.
yeah, no, so safety rules are weird, right? Because on the one hand, you want to be able to cover as many people as possible, but on the other hand, you want to be able to hone in on the particular needs of your table. So for some tables, an X card might be enough, like establishing trust. You might already have established trust, that's fine, and you don't need to do anything else. For things like bigger LARPs, you might need a full-time safety staffer. You might need someone who is whose job it is just to take care of other people. Um, and you do need to build trust with your players, because if you're doing like a big destination LARP or a LARP where you're doing sort of like 360 immersion, you need to be able to like look at your players and be like, yeah, I got you. Even if we're going to this dark place together, I got you. So doing that is hard. Um, I think it's very worthwhile, but and it's something I'm trying to do. And I admit, while it is something I pursue a lot in my writing, I don't know everything about it. I don't really think anybody knows everything about it, because to know everything about safety, you have to know everything about everyone. And it's fine not to know everything about safety. It's fine to fuck up. If you
Yep.
fuck up, you realize you fuck up and you change your methods, that's fine. Like, going back to your BoJack Horseman comment earlier, there's a difference between excuses and explanation.
Yep.
You can explain why you did something, and that's fine. Getting a better understanding of why you did something is great, but unless you intend to either change your behavior or change the people you're hanging out with, your explanation starts becoming an excuse.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I actually used that specific line. Explanations are different from excuses a lot because I'm an autistic person, right? So like I often explain things that happen. Okay, this happened due to my autism. Like you can't use that as an excuse. I'm like I'm not excusing it. I'm explaining why it happened.
Yes.
So like I have a tendency to dehumanize, like not actively, like maliciously dehumanize people, but in my head I can be very like dehumanizing in general, very
Yep.
like just it's kind of like I'm an alien sometimes. I just like see people and it's like
Yep.
like that, and it just gets very like sorted
Yeah.
categorically in my head,
Hmm.
and that creeps people out, obviously. When I'm like, so I had to just explain that that's just the case. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying that that's why it happened,
Right.
or why sometimes I don't feel like cleaning for a month, despite the fact that I should. That's It's not just laziness. It's okay. That's a precarious difference, precarious line between them. But it's important to explain things, but not excuse things. And if you fuck up, you can apologize. Not
Yep.
necessarily to be forgiven, but you should show that you know try to
Yeah.
to improve. If you fuck up,
Very
just
much.
yes, that's important thing. Um,
Yeah.
I talked about it at my first professional stand-up game I did this month actually.
Oh yeah.
About because I got hired and I chose to get paid in free food because I prefer that to getting a little bit of
Right.
money. When I got hired to do like a stand-up show for like an autistic like meeting place for like young autistic people,
Hmm.
uh, that's being organized by my local government, like the local government in my town. And at first I was like, wait, why am I being hired to do a stand-up gig? And I called my mother and I'm like, are you setting this up through like secret means? And she's like, no, I didn't know about this. Like, okay, cool. I called the woman back and was like, hey, can I do this? And then on the show I talked about the importance of just rising up, like, and I talked about how punch down comedy is shit and how a lot of
Hmm.
white
Yeah.
comedians are such adverse to just saying sorry this was viewed as okay back in my day. It isn't now, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't have been back then. I'm sorry, that was just a thing we did then, and I should
Mhm.
try to be better. They just can't seem to do that for some reason. So I think that your point of view is very nice, is what I mean to
Thank
say.
you.
Yes.
Yeah, no, something I'm currently trying to do is sort of make my communication a little less violent, because something I've noticed a lot in nerd culture, in sort of the overall nerd meta culture, even not just like our specific tabletop culture or even lefty tabletop culture, which is something I've had issues with. Because while I like the lefty World of Darkness group, I take issue with them sometimes. Um, but that's because leftists love to take issue with each other.
Pour the tea. Pour the tea, my friend. Pour the tea.
Yes. Um, but something in nerd culture as a thing is we tend to talk about, oh, this person, what do you mean this person doesn't know about this? They're stupid, they're dumb, they should die. What do you mean this person, has never seen this movie or this TV show?
Yeah.
Or if somebody gives me spoilers, I'm gonna shove their head down the toilet or whatever.
What was that? You've been cutting up a little bit. So
Oh,
what was
sorry.
that last?
If somebody gives me spoilers, then I'm gonna
Uh,
shove their head down a toilet or whatever.
Americans are very violent about their spoiler beliefs. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Um, but I there's this very much this sort of, you know, fuck everyone who isn't me and who doesn't like the things I like. And I think a lot of that comes from this nerd pride that we have of like, oh, we were bullied or we were the weird kids and now, our things are cool and we want to be recognized for liking those things before they were cool and da 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 da. And since we were bullied for things, we can't be bullies, we can't be harmful. And that's something I'd really like to look into changing, because nerds can be super harmful. Like, oh my god, the nerd discourse itself is bad.
nerd culture has a lot of problems because we started communicating really on the internet, the Wild West,
Yep.
and in the Wild West, people shoot people, and in this case, we did that just verbally, and the int and a lot of nerd culture has to grow up a bit and is in the growing up stage, but growing up is kind of painful. You get that really annoying teenage stage where you try to be really edgy to reclaim the ideal of what you were, and so on. So like there's a lot of issues with nerd culture that people have problems with seeing as issues, like the whole very violent way of speaking to each other and so on. And of course internet's part of it, due to you are freer to say things on the internet. Like, you can't threaten people with violence so much
Yeah.
in real life.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. Like, you can, it's a very complicated issue, and individually we can only really try to be better than we were the day before. And I think that's a important life lesson.
It is an
better.
important life lesson. It's just try and be a little better than you were the day before. And it's okay if you don't move in a straight line, because healing does not move in a straight line.
Yeah. If you fall, you can then rise up. Important thing to know. Like that's one of my fears in life. I'm cripplingly afraid of failure, of being perceived as failing, because I'm very used to winning, because I'm not cis, but I'm male, and not male, but I'm not male, but I'm male seeming, and white, and not from a poor family. So that's a lot of power right there already, to not fail at things, even if you suck. So I don't like failing or seeming like I do, because I have this self-image of myself as like better, and I shouldn't fail. But that's really unhealthy, because you do fail in life. Failing is a thing that happens. Fucking up happens, and when you fuck up, you should just not fuck up again, or try to undo the fuck up, or just move
Or
on
even
from
if
it.
you fuck up, again, learn from the fuck up. Because the problem with expecting people to not fuck up again is so many of us have so many Especially
Yep.
trauma survivors and people who are neuroatypical, we have a lot of really weird thought patterns that can put
Yep.
people off, and learning how
Yep.
to undo those is hard. But being like, hey, I have this thought pattern, I'm trying to undo it. If you could, you know, be gentle with me while I do this, and it's okay if you need to take some steps back from this while I handle this.
Yeah, that's very important, and I know that exact feeling because as an autistic person, I weird people out. Like I weirded people out, like because I've been too chatty to them, for example, and they're like, "Why you're so familiar and chatting to me every day?" I don't like that, and I don't take hints. That's not my thing. Wait, was that a subtle dig at me?
That is teasing you, it's fine.
Yeah, but that's great. Heyo, high five. Heyo. Teasing is good. Teasing is important. And I was actually, I once had a discussion about this, about insults, because we should try to be nicer to each other. But I think insults are an important part of communication. I believe insulting certain people, like Nazis, for example.
Oh, sure.
I'm very like so, and so that's it. So I don't like while we should try to be nicer in general and have a more understanding way to communicate with people you do like. People who are shit, I think you should treat them that way. I think that option should be open.
Well, I think it's good to have a definition of shit that we're working from.
Yeah, Nazis is a very good definition. And turfs, Nazis, and swerfs is my usual definition.
And turfs.
Yeah, I said turfs because
Oh, okay.
turfs and swerfs because I stand for sex worker penguins in this on this
Hell
podcast.
yeah. Stand for
Yeah.
not sex work penguins in this economy.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like non-sex workers have disappointing sex for free. They get paid and don't necessarily have it. I'm just so like I just say that sex worker penguins might be onto something. And,
yeah, it was actually really funny because I know you're on my OkCupid and Tinder filter, but one of the first things I posted on that was a guy offering to be my sugar daddy.
Oh yeah,
And
you told me.
yeah, and I was like, okay, how much are you paying? And he's like, I want to see you once a month, and I want to be in contact, and you can get $200 a month. And I'm like, oh please. The going rate for sugaring is $1,000 a date.
Yeah.
You're not a sugar daddy. You're not even a glucose guardian. You are, in fact, a high fructose corn father.
Yeah. That I think that was an amazing line, and I think that's very accurate. $200, like for like the sugar daddy experience. No, fuck off.
No, if you're gonna pay me $200, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna text you like 3 times a week. I'm gonna say good morning. I might send you a cute outfit picture. That's it.
I mean, no, like, and that's another thing for our potential sugar baby friends out there. Know your value. Don't let goof men come in there and devalue you and think you can like sneak them in and be like, hey, can't we get a date that like ends up somewhere for like 200? That's definitely a good trade. Fuck off.
The going market rate for sugaring, this is for all writers and aspiring sex workers, or maybe current sex workers, I don't know. The going rate for sugaring, according to my sugar baby friends, is $1,000 USD for a date.
Yep. It's very important to know that. You will love my Twitter because I have like loads of like sex workers on my Twitter and they post like the awesomest shit, like taking down douchebags like that. It's amazing. And I'm just sitting there cackling, being like, you go girls / boys / non-binary.
Humans.
Yes, humans. Because here's the thing, like sex workers are not only women, they're all across the sex and gender spectrums. We should know that. It's in, destigmatize sex work is what I believe in. Once again, weird tangent, but an important Christmas lesson, I believe.
Yes.
So, beyond that, I think you accounted for safety rules involved. So, what about the people who say, "But it is the world of darkness. It is the world of darkness. Why safety rules?" What do you say to these people?
What's really interesting about that is a lot of people complained in the cult group when people were talking about the consent in gaming document, and somebody tried to write a rebuttal which was basically, oh yes, you should totally have haunted castles and eating babies in your games. And it was interesting, this fundamental disconnect between people like me and people like that, because what they hear is, oh, you're going to take away all of my bloody zombie splatterpunk fests, and you're going to take away my haunted castles and my scenes where I have to eat babies and all of my terrifying ghost stories and blah, 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 because you want things to be safe. They don't hear safe as, hey, let's not actually harm people at the table while we dive into these really challenging topics. A safe space should not be a space that's just all bland and happy and sunshine and rainbows. Although Sunshine and Rainbows is a really fun type of game to play. If you're ever in the mood for a Sunshine and Rainbows type of game, Golden Sky Stories, fucking amazing. Check it out. It's a Japanese role-playing game where you're playing little shape-shifting animal spirits that try and help people through their daily lives.
I love that
Yeah,
game. It's so
it's so
great.
cute.
I played a little witch boy. He was a little witch boy with his little witch hat, and he
Oh,
was
good.
really hammy about being a witch everywhere. So he went around like swirling his little cape, like
So
aha!
cute.
And
I ran a game of it at Midwinter last year where my little animal spirits had to set up the dress shop, the lace maker at the dress shop with the lighthouse keeper.
ah, that's great.
And
Like
the bus driver was a lesbian, and her mom was trying to set her up with the lighthouse keeper. And they tried to talk to her mom, and what they found out wasn't that the mom was homophobic necessarily. It's just that her daughter's girlfriend lived in the big city. And what if her daughter got hurt with her new girlfriend? And she should just really settle down with someone from the town. So they had to talk to the mom about, no, your daughter will be fine. She can make her own decisions. And it was just very sweet.
this all sounds like amazing victory. In the
Yeah.
game I played, like we found a garden and there was like a rabbit shapeshifter spirit that was going around there, and we like tried to save the garden because there was like a fruit, like a vegetable farmer whose garden was really messed up. And then I did a grand magic ritual and
Oh,
made
nice.
the most magical weird garden ever. There were like pie trees with like and stuff. It was amazing. And there was one
That's
with like
adorable.
and a tree that grew mushroom fish.
Oh my god.
Like, yeah.
So, but where we were going with that before we sidetracked off to Stardew Valley and Golden Sky Stories, which are both very, very good, but that is a subject we can talk about at another time. Um, Safety rules allow you to go to extremely dark places and know that your fellow players have your back. Like, if you're playing a game where sexual violence is involved and you fostered a culture of safety at the table, you know it's just not going to be an offhanded thing like, oh yeah, and then your character gets raped, whatever. And like, it's not just going to be, hey, this guy is evil. You should know he's evil because he's raping PCs. No, it'll be a closer experience to Bluebeard's Bride, where you really get to be sort of involved in that terror and the aftermath and how to deal with it and how your character deals with it. And just being able to engage with difficult subjects in a way that doesn't leave people harmed is really important.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to me that the people who decry safety rules think again that we're talking about like haunted castles and zombie apocalypses and stuff like
Because
that.
these happen in real life all the time. I mean, I've
Right.
seen haunted castles constantly. You know, in fact, like the lich next door is very into it. Like maybe I
I
moved
bet
into.
he's a very nice neighbor.
I probably moved into your apartment complex. I live with Flame Boy.
Oh, I love him. I love Flame Boy.
To give context, Jax does video game streams, and I go and watch them, and mostly like flail, and then Jax flails back. That's like we communicate in flails usually.
We do, yes, this is
We
true.
don't actually talk in like English. We just do that for the benefit of you listeners. Really,
It's
we just
true, yes.
flail at each other
Yes.
and laugh at high corn fructose.
High fructose corn daddies.
Yes, we laugh at those.
Hmm.
And then we watch sex worker penguins getting paid in shiny rocks.
It's,
They know their rock value. They
they
don't
do.
get.
They do know their rock value. But
Yeah,
the thing I wanted to get to just real quick
yep,
before we go back to shiny rocks, because I do want to talk about shiny rocks,
yeah, yeah.
um, is that it was a very good point you brought up. Is these things there was the best response to these people is because these things happen in real life all the time? Question mark. It's when you are a cis man, because it's usually cis men who are talking about this.
Oh, how
Uh,
shocking!
yeah, I mean, so the interesting thing is that 1 in 33 cis men will be sexually assaulted over their lifetime, whereas it's closer to like 1 in 4 or 1 in 6 with women. Um, so sexual assault just isn't something that men really think about as being real. Like they know it's real, right?
But
But
it
it's something
happens
that
to
happens to
other
other
people.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
it's like burglaries. It
Right.
happens to other people. It never happens to me. You
Right.
know, like
Until it happens to you and then you're terrified and you sleep with your light on.
yeah, that's a great metaphor. Like cis men don't have to explain their humanity to people. I think that's really where it comes down to. Like
Right.
they're not really in a position where they have to argue that they should be treated like people. Like women go through that, and people of color go through that, and
Yep.
and other vulnerable people go through that. Cis men, cis white men specifically, they don't. I mean, they're cool. I don't need to. I mean, they don't have to worry about being sexual assault. Like I saw this Twitter thread once where women were asked, okay, let's say there was like a curfew thing that any man, like no men could go outside, only women. What would you do if you could go outside in the evenings? And it's always very depressing because it's people. Oh, I would finally take a jog
Yep.
or like a walk. And I'm like, oh my god, that's an empathy building moment right there.
Yep. Or I would sit on my front porch and just look at the sky, or I would, go stargazing, or I would go night fishing, or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
No, it's rough.
like I talked to a female family member of mine. So I don't know if so I don't know how if they would want me to disclose all the details. I'm just gonna say female family friend
That's fine.
member of mine. Like a guy, like she was like standing to take up some public transport, right? And a guy suddenly started waving at her and like, what the fuck, no. And then he suddenly like he actually like stripped, like exposed to her, and that's really horrible. But the point I was going to make is that, and that's like the fourth time that's happened. And she's like, I'm
Oh,
like, fuck. She like reported it to the police and everything, obviously. So, oh, so that was annoying. That's disgusting. But it's important. It's an important empathy building moment because men
yeah.
don't go through that. Like, like, or male seeming people who are white too. Like, I walk down the street with a headset on in the middle of the night in like big cities without a worry in the world. Like, that's just a reality. That's why
Yep.
check your privilege. Important.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's I think that's a very good point in general to what you were talking about here. Like cismen just don't know.
Yeah.
They deal with these things in an abstract. Like to them it's an abstract. To you, it's a reality.
Yep.
It's a constant, like even if you are the trauma survivor, it's a reality that you have to deal with.
Yep. Very much.
Yeah.
And it's something I am trying to sort of take into consideration when I think about my safety rules, is making it clear that these are to help people who have dealt with traumatic shit in real life, and like trying to make it clearer that I'm not trying to take away your horror. Quite the opposite. I'm trying to give you tools to be able to do more horror, right?
Yeah, to do more horror and more fine-tuned horror, if anything.
Yeah, very
Like,
much.
and that's another thing. Like a lot of the people are complaining here. Oh, I can't have eating babies. Like, let's say someone had like a child harm thing they didn't want to deal
Yeah.
with, right? I mean, what kind of lazy horror STs are we talking about? Okay, I can't have children being eaten. Oh wow, that removes all my options.
Yeah, I
I
know,
have no
right?
recourse. I have
I
no,
can't do anything now.
I can tell, like, you can tell any great horror stories about someone just working at a McDonald's. That's a
Oh,
horror
very
story.
much.
Like, oh, I work for Amazon. Shit, horror story
Ugh.
made. Right?
Yeah, also, like, fucking. So, I don't like Stephen King all that much, but I'm gonna use him as an example here. Um, Stephen King can basically make horror out of anything, and I'm pretty sure the dude either has ADHD or autism because his thought processes are very similar to mine. Like, what if we took this but made it scary?
Yeah,
Like, in the tall grass is literally just, you know what's scary? Tall grass.
tall
Very
grass.
spooky.
Yeah, it. When you say tall, I've not read In the Tall Grass, but when you said that, I was thinking about Shyamalan and the movie for the plants, like the
Yeah,
wind. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's a great, like, that's an autistic type. Like, that's how I make characters, and I've had a lot of neurotypical people criticize the way I make role playing characters because I often start a concept with like, but what if I made this? Like a person who like the other day I was like, what if I made like a vampire technomancer who do
mhm.
like techno rituals and like write like Latin into coding and shit to do magic? And I'm like, that's shouldn't you make a person? And I'm like, that's how I make a person. I make weird shit, and that's how I come with an idea. I'm like, so like I often tell I shouldn't do this, and I'm like, but what if I did it this way?
Right.
Hmm. That's how
Like,
I
I mean,
like
that just sounds like my husband making a character, because making a character from scratch and just basing it off of um like stats and stuff, that's perfectly valid.
yeah. I think you should. I like just coming with like, oh, what if I did it this way, and then do something there. While some people who are like the authors, if you will, in the art,
Right.
can you should only make characters in this specific way.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah, yeah, but and nerd communities. Why do you have to have so many problems? Can't you be cool?
Because we're made up of people.
Yeah, but people suck, except for like.
Until they
Oh,
don't, I mean,
yeah, but people suck. Individuals, persons are good. Then again, I say that, and I actually have a really because I am a man of academics and science, so I know that actually in the majority of cases, people are actually good. That's kind of like how the human race has survived is by that we are inherently communal and altruistic to an extent. So
yes.
screw like I love Lord of the Flies as a book, but fuck Lord of the Flies.
I mean, Lord of the Flies is specifically about British boys. Like,
Yeah,
it's not.
it's like really it's about cis male white people, true enough.
Yes.
But in
And
general,
upper class white people, too.
upper class white people too. But yeah, of course, the upper class white people in fancy
Yep.
boarding schools are going to kill each other when they're left alone. And really, I mean, that wasn't really a loss, really. Like, but, I mean, but like if the apocalypse happen, you better find the poly people because like in fetish gear because they're setting up the commune,
Yeah.
right?
I know
Like,
I know you've seen that post too.
yeah, exactly. I
Yep.
shamelessly steal that post right now. Like, who do you think are going to protect you from the Nazi hordes and the alt right meme demons and the
The alt-right
neoliberals?
meme demons.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, they're real. Book of the Fallen. Really,
They
look it
are.
up. That was my one contribution to the book because I actually managed to sneak in as like a contributor. That's the closest I've ever been to being relevant to the role playing industry. Was when I
Oh,
I helped Phil come up with some ideas that I got scrapped for kekomantic entities. So like Winter
I'm sure
Chan.
you did.
Oh yeah, I did. Because of course my one contribution is about how horrible the alt right is.
Sit.
That's how I choose to interpret that book. That's the fuck the alt right book. That's
Yep.
amazing. I mean, I don't know. I love your work.
Thank
I love
you.
Sator's work. God damn it! I said Phil. Sator. I love Sator's work. Sator's great. We're like 1-1 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, Citra's great, and your stuff is great. That's why I said bringing you on here to talk about things. So now we've talked about the important safety rule things. I
Yes,
think I think we've got a good comprehensive look at it for
I
now.
think so. Yeah.
You could talk. We could talk about it many times, but I want to get to another important topic:
Okay.
Scandinavians.
Scandinavians.
I hear you dislike us. I think you should explain to
I
the people.
don't dislike Scandinavians. I work with plenty of Scandinavians. I
You have
um
you have a Scandinavian friend. You can't
I
hate us.
do. I do. I can't be racist against Scandinavians. I have Scandinavian friends. But no. I I have a long running inside joke with a couple of friends, which is it is with heavy heart that I must inform you that the Scandinavians are at it again.
What have they done this time?
I don't know. They're just at it again.
Yeah, the great thing about being in Norway is that Norway has a very little impact on the RP industry. It's all the Swedes who are fucking it up. Like
Yep.
we're Swedes and the Danish people to a lesser extent. Like Norwegians, we're not into it yet. We're living here in our mountain lands, and the Swedes are going around taking a white wolf, like that stuff. And
I
I
have
don't
a
know.
lot of feelings about Martin, but I would like to continue to be employed.
You would love to continue to be employed. Here's the thing: White Wolf and Onyx Puff will never employ me, so I could be there flipping people off, and be like, "Aha! I don't matter! Yay!
I
Haha!
do, so I would like to keep mattering.
Yeah, you will keep mattering, in which why we're not going to do anything about
Thank
that."
you.
Yes, but in general, Scandinavians are at it again with their snobby LARP digs at Americans, and kind of like trying to colonize the LARPing world, sort of.
It's very strange where people are just like, this is an American LARP versus a Nordic LARP. Like, first of all, there's no one such thing as an American LARP. There are so many different American LARPing styles, just like there are so many different Scandinavian LARP styles. And like to say that those are the only two is doing a disservice to both regions plus
And
the
everyone
rest of
else.
the world.
Yeah, like I'm sure that the Nigerian LARPers would have something to say about
Oh
Nigerian
yeah.
LARPs, for example.
Palestinian LARPs are really cool. Um uh
Chinese LARPs.
Fan what?
Sorry, I got
What?
something caught in my teeth. I said Chinese LARPs.
The Chinese are starting to actually build up their LARP scene. Yes, they have a lot of escape rooms. They do a lot of escape room roleplay, which is really cool.
Exactly. There are loads of things, but of course,
Yeah.
the only countries that really matter are the white people ones, obviously.
Yep.
But again, I was going to say what you said. You don't have American. There's not an American LARP. I would say that there isn't really an American anything. Like
Right. Yep.
we're talking about a land that's bigger than Europe, like a continent. Like your country is basically just an entire continent onto itself.
Yep.
So of course it can't have one unified culture. That's not how it works. The
Yeah.
culture
And
can't.
also, no matter what anyone says, we are a country of immigrants, and all of that causes us to have a much more complex metaculture than we might otherwise have. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really the thing. Like it's like you're coming in here with history and stuff. We're trying to make it all maybe like academic and stuff. So hey like we can take common digs against academia, right?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. We can dig
Oh, we
that.
can actually make chicks against academia.
Yeah, we could talk academia. You suck. That's the opening salvo. So like
Yes.
we don't have Scandinavian news as of yet, but next time we're certainly going to have Scandinavian news, I'm sure, and talk about
Yes.
Scandinavians and what they're up to. Um, what do I know? What are we up to now? Well, that's going to be like a segment on the show. We're very professional. It's going to be the Scandinavian are at it again news hour. Or news
Scandinavians are at it again, the news segment.
Yeah, the news segment. So really, like we're going to the chopper.
Ah,
We're
yes,
just
the Scandinavians.
yeah, the Scandinavian, and we're just
Look,
looking out.
they're
Like,
doing things.
they're doing things. Uh, they have a right. Some of them have right wing governments now. Boo.
Oh no! Look,
But
some of them still think splatterpunk is a relevant genre.
yeah, we did had some like that, like Dead Snow. That was a movie.
That was certainly a movie.
That was made like 15 years ago now, I think. But yeah.
Oh look, someone decided to use a chainsaw on a horror LARP.
Oh my god, that's a good idea. That couldn't possibly go wrong. Like an actual chainsaw.
So my running joke, it's something I teased Petter about when I was editing the English version of Cult, is that five there were five categories of weapons, or as I like to call them, the five genders. There was unarmed, crushing, cutting, piercing, and chainsaw.
Yeah.
Chainsaw was its own category.
Chainsaw's own category?
Yeah, no, it was the five genders. They are you see, now you have to tell me what your gender is, because there are five genders, as we all know.
Unarmed.
There's unarmed, crushing, cutting, piercing, chainsaw.
I'm going to be like the Joker and say unarmed. Like he does knives and I'm unarmed because that's more personal.
Sure.
You like you have to like that's how you like you can like you can't like with like a knife you just do the a knife right and you stab someone.
Jax, what do you have? A knife.
A knife.
Ah!
Ah!
No,
But yeah,
honestly, I think I'd like to be chainsaw, but I think I'm cutting.
here's the thing with me. I believe it's personal. So like with unarmed, you could like tackle someone to the ground, like break their
Right.
finger, like be very very violent. But like cutting, unless you're like into like strapping people down and torturing them with it, you could just like stab them. It's not
Right.
fun. It's the same reason I think guns are boring. I like boo
I
guns.
think guns were considered piercing because like the way the bullets work.
Yeah.
They're basically long range piercing.
The long range piercing. Like who
Yeah.
wants that? But that's no way to do battle. Where's the not the
Oh no,
chivalry?
you know what it was? Is because after the edits, they got rid of chainsaw and they made guns their own category, which is reasonable.
We can't have reasonableness here.
Hey.
But yes. So yeah. I mean, we went from the news segment to chainsaws. It's amazing.
This is how we got there. Is because it was part of the news segment.
It's a part of the news segment, so we have to like. I'm now going to look in the Norwegian newspaper and see if there's anything funny.
Yes, it's like Florida Man, but Scandinavian.
Yeah, Florida Man. That's Florida Man is great. Florida, one of my favorite. Like I love. There's a great like YouTube videos where some people like narrate Florida Man stories.
Oh,
like,
good.
Go like I will link you that.
Okay. I actually, so before I go, because my friend is now here with dinner, the KFC dinner that I talked about.
Excellent.
We are not sponsored by KFC, but that sweet sponsorship money would be great.
Yeah, we love money. That would be great. Both of us.
Yes.
So KFC, piss.
Yes. I am going to send you a picture of Shork so you can attach it to the podcast.
Yeah. Shork is amazing. You will learn about it if you look at the podcast. Which, since you're going to be listening when it comes out, you will have seen Shork, and now you finally have context for what Shork is.
Excellent. So before the podcast, we were talking a little bit, and I mentioned that I was hugging my Shork, and Carl got very excited. Was like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Well, it's a shark plushie, but it is round, so he is not pointy. So instead of being shark, which is a pointy A, he's shork with an O because he's round."
Yeah, I thought that was the best explanation I've ever heard.
Yes.
I'm going to make you really envious of me because I realize what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm going to see Frozen 2.
Oh, that's exciting! You're going to get to see the most pagan Disney movie yet.
Yes, but I'm going to see it in Sami, in the indigenous people
language.
You
mentioned that's really exciting.
Yes, I'm going to do it. That's the last stage going to be played in that language in my local cinema, I believe.
You'll have to
So
tell me how that is.
yeah, so I'm ditching a family gathering to do it because I believe in supporting this ideologically. It's more important
Excellent. Yeah.
than me going to a family dinner, which I don't even eat fish, so I wouldn't be eating there anyway. So yeah,
Well, there you
that's
go.
what I'm doing. So I'm going to say that it was a pleasure having you on. You're like
It was a joy and a delight as always.
yes, I'm enjoying. We're going to have to repeat this. I'm
Yes.
sure we'll go down in history as an amazing on-air duo of greatness with our
Hell yeah.
Scandinavians new segment. So now
I'm
enjoy
here
your
for it.
dinner, and we will
What?
talk later. I said enjoy your
Yes.
dinner.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good
Thank you.
night.
Have a good night. There will be more episodes like this shortly, I'm
Merry
sure.
Christmas. Happy
Merry
holidays.
Christmas.
Merry Solstice.
Bye.
Happy
Whoop,
Hanukkah.
whoop, whoop, whoop.
Bye.